Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Today is three models that we're using in OASIS as far as doing crossovers. 20 years ago, we had one. So there's been a lot of work adding more data and the LLM access, all the AI is really doing some neat stuff that we could only dream of 5 years ago, actually. Now it's really there's a lot of neat stuff that's going on. So let me show you what we're doing and dig into it. So today's agenda, a quick show and tell as far as how we're using these three models to actually cross products over inside of Oasis. I'm going to introduce you to each one of those independently because you can use them independently or together. We're going to start out together and just kind of knowing how they work. A little bit of navigation of Folio Select because that's really one way in which you can help train things or actually get more information about your product. We'll get into that just a little bit. And then quick updates on reports and recommendation for desktop users coming up here. So let's dig in. So quick show and tell. Best way to do some of this is just show you. So I'm going to do a go for it here real quick, and then we'll piece apart what happened. So first things first, I already have a project set up. Let's go ahead and go to that just so we can just not have to type in a name or anything like that. So I start out with a blank bill of material here. Now, one thing is if you're doing crossovers in Oasis, you don't have to do what we always said in the past, but I still kind of recommend it. And that is, I like to have a layout that shows the spec brand, the spec catalog number, the spec stat. If you know what that is, you can drop that in. I'm not going to go into that too much today, but simply say that that will help this process a little bit. Notes on how the spec is going, basically what's being pulled in, and then the manufacturing catalog number. So you can use your layouts just as you have in the past inside of Oasis, have a standard quoting layout, and then have a crossover layout. And what I'm finding in some cases, you don't have to go to the crossover layout because a lot of this is kind of streamlined itself. So let me show you the details and why that's kind of important here in a second. But anyway, I have this. Now, let's go ahead and pull in a lighting schedule. So I'll show you the lighting schedule so we can talk about it for a minute. So it's one that I just pulled together. And again, we'll talk about this in a second, a little more details here. But I'll just drag and drop it into the system. Now, we do have the pricing, and one of the big things that I noted, I think a webinar or two ago, is we split apart in online. Now, in desktop, we just really only have these kind of combined together, and it doesn't work as well, I don't think. But on the online version, we split these out months ago, and it works better. So if you have an O2O or a quote from a manufacturer that has pricing on it that happens to be in a PDF, drag it to the right side here. It goes through the standard RFQ import process and works quite well. So I have a couple of people that are just using it day in, day out. I watch, talk to them and watch them every so often, just make sure there isn't anything to learn, but that works well. The bill of material, let me go ahead and let this thing go, actually works real well. So we'll talk about this lighting schedule. And one thing to note on it, again, you can have it update specifiers only. So we'll try to read the specifier information in here and update my project. I can import the bill of material or I can perform a crossover. I'm going to run all three of these this time just to do it. And my recommendation on this at the moment anyway, and again, I'm talking with a number of testers out there that have been giving me some really good feedback, is just go for it. In other words, drop one in and hit go. Okay. Now it's going to take a minute and you'll see this little, I'm doing something in here. And anyway, it has all the information or all the little testing I was doing before actually to make sure I had everything set up for this conversation. But it's showing what I've asked it to do this last time. So convert document to import, blah, blah, blah. And when it gets done, it'll actually give me some details here. So while it's doing its thing, let's go back to this little sliding schedule here and tell you a little bit about what we've found with the LLMs and basically importing. The first thing is I like to go for it because it'll pick up a lot of information on the legend and other places as far as the name of the project, the specifiers, and other details just to help you pull that data in. Now, one thing you might consider is, especially for the specifiers, is start setting up alias names inside of Oasis if it doesn't match the first time. So if you have any questions on any of this, by the way, just drop us an email or call support and I can get into more details if you need. But what we find is obviously there's different ways these names appear on the different lighting schedules. And if you train Oasis with the different variants in there, it'll get it correctly into your system and you don't have to key it. So it's kind of a nice little speed up there. Now, when it comes to the manufacturers, when it comes to the lighting designers, actually the architects and engineers, they do something kind of fun. In other words, if you zoom in here, if you haven't already realized this, they will copy paste basically using whatever tool that they have on their PC or Mac to copy the bill of material from one thing over to the other one, and it starts pixelating. So that can work usually to your disadvantage, but in this case, it worked out okay. In other words, we just kind of threw something together and kind of did better than what I normally see when I'm looking at some of my customers' data here. And what we find is the LLMs can still pick it up with some work. I'll leave it at that. But what you may have to do in some cases, especially if they have a pretty picture and everything else at the beginning of each one of these picture types, you may have to just do the cropping thing. I'll show you this here in a second on how you can crop it. But really focus the attention of the LLM on just the quantity, fixture type, manufacturer, catalog number, and it'll pull it in more quickly. So I believe I said that once before, but it's come up a number of times with individuals. And what I find is it works great if you crop in some cases, if it just doesn't take it in the first time. And I've also found that if you try to have it do too much at once, it can have issues as well. Again, if it's a copy paste and it's in the quality of the image is starting to get lower and lower, it seems like the LLMs do better if you do like 5 to 10 of these at a time instead of trying to pull in the entire bill of material. So anyway, just a little side notes there as far as this the import process. Important detail because you got to get it in first. All right, so it's done something here. And by the way, what happened right there is the browser kind of went in power save mode, so it didn't immediately refresh. As soon as I clicked over there, it did that. Now, you will get you will receive information from the LLM on this. Sorry about the nulls right here. I've actually got a couple of to-dos here because it did a few things for me. In other words, didn't quite get everything perfectly as far as the catalog number match and full conversion on this. But I wanted to call that out to show that the LLM will do what it can as far as picking a family, but sometimes it won't get a full catalog number. So we're going to go through the rest of the process and show how to use Folio and how to train OASIS where it'll complete the catalog number for you. And we're going to do some divergence on this as well, just to show you the really different directions we can go here. So to begin with, it looks like we have ALW, so Architectural Lighting Works was pulled in initially, and it decided to do a spec catalog number of all these. Now, it's interesting because this time it pulled it in and it decided not to do a cross. Let me go back in here real quick. And it didn't give me any notes this time. Literally the time before it gave me some crossovers to some focal point product, which I thought was pretty neat. So it actually did a scene to conversion. This time it didn't. I mean, literally just a few minutes ago. And that's typical for an LLM. It just does things a little different, moving this ALW product over to trying to cross it anyway. But we can do better. So starting with this, we have the spec brand, the spec catalog number. Let's go ahead and pull this in and we'll use select. So this is Folio select. And what it's trying to do now is it's going out and taking ALW and trying to find out what it can find out there that is very similar. This is the first time I've done this, so it's going to take it a second. So it's going to try finding the ALW product and then trying to cross it back to different options that I have within my product line. So it's not just one brand, it's going to be all the products that I have. So it found, unfortunately, I have this product in my listing, so it shouldn't be, but it is. But it pulled in the light plane that was actually already there, but it's actually found other items that I have in my product line that is available. So it found, looks like Barco has something, Lumini have something, and so forth. So these are all the different brands that I have listed in this test database, and it's found very similar stuff for me to start crossing. Now, some of these may be good crosses, they may not be the best for the project that you have. And again, this is where the human comes back into the process here. And I'm going to say, okay, this is nifty, but what I'm going to do is actually go with a light control product. Mostly because that's what I started a few minutes ago. And with them, let me see. So we have a light control product here. Looks interesting. Let's go into it, and I'll do a view. And with this, inside of Select, and now to dig a little bit deeper here, we're presenting you with as much information as we can, just at a high level, as far as this product. So this should help you go back and forth between what you see on the fixture schedule and what is here to cross this over, the hard way this time. But to help out a little bit, I'm going to click on this build product. And what I have here is a 6L. And again, some of you people are probably cringing at the moment because as an IT guy trying to talk about product here, but I'll do my best here. So wall slot. Actually, this is a wall slot. Let me go back. What else I got here? May take it anyway, but just to be good here. Nope, that may be better. What I'm doing is the human beings can look at this and go, hey, that looks like a better fit for what I'm trying to do. All right, so let's do a build product. And clicked on the wrong button. Select. I may stick with the wall slot here in a second. Give it a second here. I clicked on the wrong button and canceled out. So go back. All right, let's go back to that. We'll just stay with the top one here, the top item, build product. Stay with that. Drywall is what we have. And then input increments. I'll go ahead and key this in by hand here in a minute. So I'll just click on one. Row length, 6 inches will be fine, and so forth. So you can kind of see how you can use this product builder to go through and quickly build the product that you're working with here. And again, IT guy here, dimming looks good here. Universal, and I'll let you all laugh at me for a minute. So, all right, so import. So now I have a light control product I've pulled in. Now I still need to go through some of this. I don't understand because I'm an IT guy, but I'll go ahead and put in my 8 foot here. I believe that was correct. And now we've crossed it over. So through this process, we've started pulling through each one of these, just kind of doing it through Folio there. And I can continue to do the same thing as I walk down the rest of these products, but I can also do just the basic stuff inside of Oasis as well. So, just kind of keep it quick and simple. That's a 24 foot. And again, I think I get this correct. And it looks like I have a 16 foot here as well. And 16 foot. Okay. Real simple. So kind of recap and go back to my agenda here real fast. So let me scout all those, talk about crop here in a second or come back to it. What I wanted to go through is we've talked a lot about the LLMs. They're surprisingly good. I picked one that's not cooperating. It cooperated a moment ago and did a nice focal point cross, and I wanted to change the light control anyway. But anyway, you can kind of see how LLMs are great, but they also do some funny stuff sometimes. I've already went through the Folio, and what I want to call out here is there's definitely advantages to both these. LLMs are surprisingly good, but they don't know your market and they don't know all products. Sometimes they do other things like what I just showed a moment ago is it'll pick different things based on how many times you pulled it in. I mean, every time it does something a little different, it seems like. Folio, the goal on this one is find similar products that you represent. So it'll always show you the base product. In that case, it was the ALW, I think it's let me see, LP2 or whatever. Yeah, LP2. And then you can see the other products that it finds that are similar based upon attributes. So it's able to show you the different products in there. And then there are ways of boosting products based upon your market. And it's basically Oasis starts learning and elevating some of the products on usage and other things in the system. That gets kind of complex right there. So I'll simply say that for today is we do boost the products inside of Folio in the listing based upon how you use it and other things that I'll have to talk through on another day. It knows most of your products because we keep adding them in there, but it's still not, as I've shown a second ago, or I'll show next, is we still want to go faster, and that's where we're going to go talk about crossovers. So let me pause for a second. Any questions so far, Trinity?
Just one asking if this is available on the desktop version or if it's online only.
Online only. This one's going to be really tough to do inside of desktop. Now, having said that, the crossover, this thing I'll show you here in a minute, is something I am looking to add into the desktop version. But a lot of the other elements in there, there's just a lot of tech that's really hard to replicate on everybody's desktop out there. So instead of updating the hundreds, literally, we have hundreds of servers out there. We have thousands of desktops, actually tens of thousands of desktops, and it's just harder to get some of this tech deployed to that high volume out there. Okay. So, all right, the crossovers. So I'll show you the one that we do intend, or I do intend to add to the desktop version. And let's go back over here. And what I'll show you next is the system learns, and instead of going out and redragging everything back in and doing this, let me kind of abbreviate things for a second. So the next time you have an ALW, because we literally trained it right now, LPS2, let me see, LPSD, shoot, I tell you what, I'm going to cheat. So I'm going to copy this and paste it in. Yeah, security. Ta-da! What I'm trying to hint at here is simply because I crossed it the first time, it will know that, hey, this is what I've been doing in the past for this specific item. It's what we call a hard cross. And a couple of things have been added. First of all, you get the drop downs so you can see how things have been presented in the past to the system. And then you get the drop down for the catalog number. So you get to, again, see how it was presented in the past to the system, and you can flip it over. Now, it is technically not a completely a hard cross. It will understand some of the product and do similar crossing in some cases, but again, it's trying to get you to go, okay, last time is ALW to light control. Now, having said that, all the old crossover technology is still in there. And that is, I was out showing this to a couple of customers, and they're like, "Whoa, wait a minute! What about the old crossover table I've been using for 20 years?" I was like, "Oh yeah, that still works too." And what they're talking about is that you can take a look at the crossover history here. And other than the fact that I did something, I'm in the same project, so it omits the same project. So I've never done this in the past, the cross from the ALW to the light control. But if I've been doing this in the past, it'd show me all the different project names and the different variations I've had in there. And the reason why we do that is it gives you a way of going back and saying, okay, how's that worked in the past? Has this been a good cross? Did I get an order on it? Because it'll show the listing on there, whether you got the project or not, or you got the order for the project or not. So it's kind of nice to cross, but it's even better to get the order after you cross it. So all that's in that history, so you can see exactly what's going on there and make smarter decisions out there. So, and that includes if you have different ways you've crossed it over from ALW to light control, or maybe focal point, or whoever else. It's all in that history. And again, it's just giving you that information. That's also how we use to boost it inside of Folio. So you can not only see it in a textual format, but it starts showing up inside the actual select here. So this one's already done. Is just go back and do that. Any questions off of that?
None
So
so far.
the desktop, by the way, the desktop part that'll be in here is the drop downs. The crossover history is already in there. That's been in there for, I don't know, 20 years. But the little drop downs, I found those were kind of neat. So I'm trying to get those added back in for everybody. LPS, whatever, LP2S. There, better if I type correctly. And again, just give you the ability on the desktop to do the hard crosses, which are pretty easy to do. I don't need a full LLM and back end to do that. So, all right, let me see where I'm at here. I did want to go back for a second and talk about, let me see, make sure I didn't miss anything. So I did talk about the specifiers, the crop thing. Oh, I do want to do the crop thing real quick because I don't know if everybody's seen that. So when you pull something into OASIS on the lighting schedule side, or the bill of material side, you do have the ability to enable a crop. And as soon as you do that, you can then focus it. And that's what I was saying before is when the when the engineer or whoever it is setting this up has 100 lines in here and they're the smallest point font and it was copy paste from another system, it gets very granular. What we found is if you just do like 5 to 10 of them at a time, that usually works. But I usually just pull it in the first time. If it does it, you're done. If it doesn't, then you have to kind of pull them in a little bit of time. So. All right. Let me see.
We do have one question.
Okay.
Somebody asked, when training it, does it use the old crosses? Can you limit what users crosses it use? If I have a quoter A and a quoter B, can I only use quoter previous crosses?
Good question. Let me see. Is there something I haven't? Oh, let's do this. Let me create another project and let me copy that real quick. And since I can, go ahead and add another one. Recreate my brand new project so I can show the rest of what's going on here. So the other project. Okay. Yeah. Thanks. Very good question. It's best to just show it though. All right. So if I have this happen again, whoop, if I have this happen again, notice it went and crossed it over. I'm in a brand new project here. But what I have uh, in this crossover history is it tells me everything about the other project that was in there. So I had spec this via light control last time, and that's what I ended up with. But I also show the project and the quoter. And the reason why I do that is what's uh, kind of hidden behind that question over there is, well, what if you don't trust Bob? Well, if you don't trust Bob, or if you respect Bob and Bob has really good crosses, maybe you want to focus on, what he's doing over there. So you can literally see who quoted it, the project, and by the way, after 365 days, if you stop crossing it or using that product, it does slip off of this view here. So you can open it up and it'll show you what's in the rest of the database. So that works pretty good. Another thing that's real nice about this is we do have, in this case, I think that's where the size was. So let me do let me see, approximate match and do a find here. Nope, didn't do it. Oh, shoot. Um, all right. Uh, update similar. Well, I forgot the detail here. I'll find out why, but it's supposed to be able to open this up and show more. So I'll get more into that because for some reason I'm missing something here. But normally you just use a star with approximate match and it shows the rest of it. I know that works 100% in desktop. For some reason I got something not quite right here in online. So I'll find out what's happening here. But what I'm trying to indicate here is through this, you can use the star basically to back out a bunch of the information and show even more matches, especially when you're talking about linear runs where they might be 8 foot, 16 foot, 24 foot, or something like that, and they're just basically bolted together, if you will. So apologize on that. Looks like I did find a bug. I think that's what that is, and I'll find out why the crossover history is not allowed for an approximate match. So there you go. Uh, any other questions there? Otherwise, I'll go ahead and jump to the next one. Okay, so
More
that
questions. Oh, sorry.
okay. Yeah, all right. So inside of Folio, I'll go ahead and back up here for a second because there are a few things I wanted to show that is helpful in Folio. I don't know if I have a great example here for a second, but let me try real fast. If I go back into select, what we do for each one of these products is we show more and more information that you have. So a couple of things did not happen in here, by the way, that normally happen in a customer's database. In other words, not our test database here. The first thing is the pricing will start showing up because if you have connectivity back to the major manufacturer, or if you have a price list inside of Oasis, it'll go ahead and do the lookup like it did normally every time you update this catalog number. It asks first, obviously. But once that pricing does get updated, you see the rest of the information in there. So right now, we don't have that. But if I go into select, there's other information in here I wanted to show. And in here we have Folio, all these basically just showing what we have off the Folio server. Isn't everything, it's just part of it. But we'll also intermingle some of your information here as well. This is a test database, but we'll have pricing information in here. We'll have other quote information that you have in the history, basically a little bit of your quote history and order history as well. Simply to put it all together so you can see what's going on for this particular item. Okay. And on this one, by the way, it looks like I selected something different here or got something going. I'll go ahead and select that. And I think I had a focal point. Seem two, I think is what it was. That was the other one that the LLM recommended. So I'll click on both those simply so I can have both of them in as a comparison. And as soon as I click on those, I can hit compare. And at this point, it shows the product so I can click into them and see all the information I have for the focal point as opposed to the light control one. Plus, other than the fact I clicked on the wrong thing out, it starts pulling details that it found on the spec sheet together. again, trying to help show you more information that's going on. And we do keep adding more and more to these different attributes in here. Just over time, the machine learning that we have just attaches more and more to these different products out there. Okay, so it's a quick compare, basically, I was trying to indicate there. Okay, and oh, I forgot the shipping prediction. So the quote order history is already glanced at that. One thing that it will also show is notice where it's saying average lead time. So the system identifies how long it takes to ship something. This one has no prediction in it, no shipping data inside this database, but your database, if you are putting shipping information inside of Oasis as part of the folio information that will show there, or sorry, as part of the folio display, but not your data, or not part of the folio data, it'll intermingle your shipping information there. So we're trying to show, hey, for the information you have, it looks like it takes 4 weeks to ship or whatever it is once you release it. Okay. And kind of already did the product builder there. All right. Any questions so far? Otherwise, I need to shift gears here for a second. Okay, real quick. So we've been busy, to put it mildly. So August 8th, this weekend, there's the update that'll have basically what I just showed you available for you to utilize, and a whole bunch of other stuff that are in the release notes out there. But many of the reports that we have in the system are simply better. You can take a look at the webinar that I did several months ago when it comes to reports. They've simply gotten better with people giving us feedback. It's been fun to watch, especially being able to run reports by products and just do things a little bit faster. The reports section now is in beta. And that is, if you're familiar with Oasis, then there's literally a report section we've been holding off for a while inside of the online version, simply because it's kind of complicated. But it's in there. You can run it, run a lot of reports. The creation of reports is one area where we're still testing out. So in some cases, the testing and editing online is still uh, finishing up, for lack of a better term, but it's there. Again, another little area that we pulled over. Uh-oh. The bigger area that I want to hint at, let me see, is sorry, order section or quote section, whatever. There used to be, or there is inside a desktop, the customizable order listing and the line level. Well, that's in online now. It's just in beta at the moment, but it looks a little bit different. And I'll do another webinar a little bit later. Actually, I think next month to kind of give us an update on this. But it looks a little bit different, but it works a little bit better again. And again, it gives you the capability of creating these reports, storing them in the system, and running them there. Very, very happy about this one. It's taken a lot of work by the developer to pull this together, and it's really cool. So, but more on that as we go. But I wanted to give you an update on that, basically to say that the reports going out on August 8th, although I still consider them beta, they're pretty much everything you have in desktop in online, but I think most of them are better in a lot of cases. So the only hiccup we have at the moment in August, as far as the August one, is if you don't have any major connectivity to the manufacturers, pretty much if you want to start exploring going online only, it's available out there. And I do have people that don't have major manufacturer connectivity that have simply switched. They don't have servers now. And they just pull up a browser wherever they're at, and they do quotes, orders, invoices, payments, run reports, the whole bit. Okay. The manufacturer connectivity is the main thing that's holding us back at the moment. A lot of it's just because it's complicated. We don't do simple pricing. We do some very low level, tight integrations with manufacturers, and testing that out does take some work. So we will be contacting groups because it is coming online now. We've already contacted a few, and the whole concept there is to get some reps helping us to make sure we didn't miss anything on the connectivity. So if you go online only, it's all there. So it's getting really close on this. So we'll contact as groups because each manufacturer has some slightly different issues that we have to get around as far as setup and making sure that your experience is good. All right, recommendation for desktop users. So by the way, any questions so far? Otherwise, this is the last one, and I'll kind of move forward.
None so far.
All right, cool. Same recommendation I've been having for the last few months. If you're using a desktop in on Oasis, you're using a VPN or accessing Oasis desktop across the internet, and you're seeing slowness, if your reports are running slow, if their timeouts or locks, you probably need to start thinking about going online only. That's just where we're at. The internet works great, um, and the browser's built with it or built for that environment, but desktop Oasis really wasn't built to run across the internet. Now, having said that, I was out training a group last week. They're online or desktop only with online capabilities that they use when necessary, for lack of a better term. Uh, for them, it's fine because when they're in the office, everything works fine. There's no VPN, no locks, no delays. But if you're using again across the internet and working at home part of the time, it's probably time to start looking at online only. So anyway, that's a recommendation coming up. And again, August 8th, we're pretty much on there. So, and that's it. I do apologize for my voice. I picked up a bug when I was out training last week. It just happens. And anyway, want to give you a little bit of an update on crossovers inside of Oasis and an update on the system. And if you have any questions, I'm here for you.